What if I told you that the folder where you store your tax returns, medical records, private photos, and confidential work documents is about to get a new roommate, an AI assistant that can read, analyze, and chat about everything inside, no permission asked, no clear way out? This is happening right now to over 400 million Windows 11 users worldwide. Microsoft has been quietly testing a feature that embeds Copilot directly inside File Explorer, not as an optional button you can ignore, not as a separate app that you can close, but as a permanent sidebar that lives where you manage your most personal files. Security researchers discovered the integration in Windows 11 Build, released in early January 2026, hidden behind an invisible button labeled App Assistant Launch. The code references Chat with Copilot and Detach Copilot, proving this isn't just a shortcut. It's designed to be embedded, persistent, and always watching. And this is Microsoft's documented plan, traced through internal file names by independent analysts. And what privacy experts have uncovered about how Copilot handles your data makes this integration far more dangerous than Microsoft wants you to believe. By the end of this investigation, you'll understand exactly what's at risk, why regulators are raising red flags, and what you can do before this becomes the default on your device. So, what does Microsoft say this feature actually does? Copilot integration in File Explorer didn't start in 2026. Microsoft began testing it back in January 2024 under the codename Copilot FE Context Menu. By March 2024, the first version rolled out in Build 2.6080, a right-click menu option that let you select a file and choose Send to Copilot or Summarize. The Copilot panel opens in a separate window where you can ask questions about the document. Microsoft marketed this as a productivity boost. Need to quickly understand a dense legal contract? Right-click, Summarize? Want to extract key points from a presentation? Send it to Copilot and ask specific questions. But the 2026 version, discovered in Build 2.6220, takes this much further. Instead of opening Copilot in a separate window, the new design embeds Copilot as a sidebar inside File Explorer itself. This means Copilot doesn't just respond when you explicitly send it a file. It's always there, integrated into the interface, ready to access whatever folder you're browsing. Microsoft claims this creates a seamless experience for users who rely on AI to organize and search their files. But here's what Microsoft doesn't highlight: what happens to your data once Copilot starts analyzing it. That official story sounds convenient, but when independent researchers examined how Copilot actually handles files, they discovered something Microsoft left out of the marketing pitch. In March 2025, US House of Representatives banned congressional staff from using Microsoft Copilot entirely. The reason? Concerns about data security and the risk of leaking sensitive House data to unauthorized cloud services. This was a response to what researchers had already uncovered about how Copilot processes information. Gartner, one of the world's leading technology research firms, issued a stark warning in 2024 about Copilot's data exposure risks. Their research found that using Copilot exposes organizations to serious threats because it supports easy, natural language access to unprotected content. Copilot can surface files that technically exist on your system, but that you never intended to share widely. Here's how that happens. Copilot inherits every access, right, you already have. If you once opened a folder containing salary spreadsheets, merger documents, or confidential HR reports, Copilot gains identical access. When you ask Copilot what is the CEO's salary, it can search through every accessible file and provide an answer, even if you didn't realize you had permission to see that data. According to Gartner, this is one of the top queries employees ask Copilot. The core problem is over-permissioning. Microsoft's own data shows that only 1% of permissions granted to users are actually used. That means 99% of your access rights are dormant, forgotten permissions accumulated over the years. Copilot activates all of them simultaneously, turning your AI assistant into a search engine for every piece of information you technically have access to. In June 2025, Microsoft discontinued the GPT Builder feature in Copilot Pro. Then they announced Recall, a feature that captured screenshots of everything on your screen, would become opt-in instead of enabled by default. These were responses to a growing realization that Microsoft's AI features were designed with functionality first and security second. You might think this only matters in corporate environments, but here's where that assumption breaks down. Imagine your personal laptop. You're the only user, no shared folders. You assume malware is your only threat. But with Copilot embedded in File Explorer, a new attack vector opens. If an attacker compromises your account, Copilot's natural language interface makes data discovery dramatically easier. They simply ask Copilot to locate your tax documents, cryptocurrency wallet files, or saved passwords. Gartner found that among organizations experiencing an AI security incident, 60% involved data compromise by an internal party. Your AI assistant serves anyone who gains access to your account. And it's not just independent researchers sounding the alarm. Government bodies and academic institutions have intervened, warning that Copilot may violate fundamental privacy laws. In January 2025, SURF, the IT organization supporting higher education across the Netherlands, issued a formal warning against using Microsoft Copilot in universities. Their concern? It's not clear what personal data Microsoft collects about Copilot usage. Despite repeated requests, Microsoft provided information that SURF described as incomplete and incomprehensible. SURF highlighted another issue. Copilot can provide inaccurate or incomplete personal data in response to queries about specific individuals. When users place unwarranted trust in AI-generated answers, misinformation gets amplified. This touches on the GDPR, or General Data Protection Regulation. Under GDPR, large-scale processing of personal data requires organizations to conduct a data protection impact assessment before deployment. Microsoft claims Copilot complies with GDPR standards, but that compliance relies on Microsoft's infrastructure, not on the inherent design of the AI. GDPR mandates data minimization and transparency. Copilot's ability to access and analyze any file you have permission to see, combined with Microsoft's vague disclosures about metadata logging, creates tension with both principles. Privacy advocates focus on consent. When Copilot integrates directly into File Explorer, it shifts from an optional tool to an ambient feature that's simply present. If Copilot is enabled by default, that's not informed consent under privacy law. Microsoft hasn't confirmed whether the embedded version will be on by default, but based on past behavior, user trust is justifiably low. Laws and regulations can feel abstract, but the risks Copilot introduces have real human consequences. Consider someone who recently left an abusive relationship. They've relocated and stored records of their new address and legal documents on their laptop. If their ex-partner gains access to that device briefly, they don't need to manually search folders. They open File Explorer, ask Copilot where the person moved, and receive an instant answer. The AI doesn't understand context or danger, it just responds. Or think about a freelance journalist investigating government corruption. They communicate with confidential sources through encrypted apps, but before messages get encrypted, they exist briefly as plain text. If Copilot captures file metadata or drafts, it creates a searchable record of who the sources are. If that laptop is ever seized or hacked, Copilot's indexing makes discovery effortless. These aren't exaggerated scenarios. They're realistic applications of Copilot's functionality, where privacy is a matter of safety. Forcepoint identified uncontrolled exposure of confidential files as one of the top risks. When permissions are misconfigured, Copilot can surface highly sensitive documents to unintended users. Now imagine a therapist who keeps session notes on their Windows 11 laptop. Those notes contain details about patients' mental health and treatment plans. Under HIPAA, that information is legally protected. But if Copilot indexes those files, where does that data go? Microsoft says enterprise versions don't use customer data for training, but the consumer version integrated into Windows 11 doesn't come with the same guarantees. Forcepoint warns that data can leak through prompts themselves. If you ask Copilot to summarize a confidential contract, that contract's text gets sent as part of your query. The data still passed through Microsoft systems. After the backlash over recall, Microsoft has made some changes. But the question isn't just what they fixed, it's what still remains broken. In March 2025, Microsoft accidentally uninstalled Copilot from some devices during an update. The public reaction was telling. Reddit users joked that Microsoft had accidentally fixed Windows 11. Forum threads filled with comments from people relieved to have a Copilot-free experience. That reflects broader frustration. Many users report that Copilot was installed without explicit consent. When Microsoft introduced the redesigned interface in March 2025, it forced many users to interact with the chatbot despite having no interest. Microsoft treats Copilot as a core system component that users are expected to accept. After the recall controversy, Microsoft delayed the rollout and made it opt-in. They added biometric authentication and encryption. But researchers noted fallback security often relies on weak 4-digit PINs. For File Explorer's Copilot integration, Microsoft hasn't confirmed final details. Based on code in Build 2.6.2.2.0, users will likely have the option to turn off the pane. But whether it will be disabled by default remains unclear. Microsoft's response to over-permissioning criticism has focused on encouraging permission audits and sensitivity labels. That shifts responsibility from Microsoft's design to user behavior. If permissions were poorly configured and Copilot exploits that, is it your failure or Microsoft's for deploying a feature that amplifies the risk? The fundamental issue remains. Copilot is designed to maximize access and functionality. Privacy and security are constraints Microsoft addresses reactively, not proactively. So if Microsoft isn't going to protect your privacy by default, what can you do? If you're using Windows 11 and want to disable Copilot before File Explorer integration becomes unavoidable, here's your plan. First, disable Copilot in the taskbar. Open Settings, go to Personalization, then Taskbar, and toggle off Copilot. This removes the icon, but doesn't fully disable the service. To completely disable Copilot, modify the Windows registry. Press Windows key plus R, type regedit, and press Enter. Navigate to HKI Current User, then Software, Policies, Microsoft, Windows. Right-click Windows, select New, then Key, and name it Windows Copilot. Select that key, right-click in the right panel, create a new stored value, name it Turn Off Windows Copilot, and set its value to 1. Restart your computer. If you're on Windows 11 Pro or Enterprise, use Group Policy Editor. Press Windows key plus R, type gpedit, and open it. Navigate to User Configuration, Administrative Templates, Windows Components, Windows Copilot. Double-click, turn off Windows Copilot. Select Enabled, click Apply, then OK. For users who want to remove all AI features from Windows 11, not just Copilot, a GitHub script called Remove Windows AI has gained significant traction. Created by a developer using the pseudonym Zoicware, the script disables, removes, and blocks reinstallation of AI components, including Copilot, Recall, and AI features in Paint, Notepad, and Edge. It works through PowerShell commands, modifying registry keys and removing hidden system packages. The script even includes a revert mode if you change your mind. However, using third-party system modification tools always carries risk, so create a full system backup before proceeding. If you want to disable Copilot's ability to search your local files without fully removing it, open the Copilot app, click your profile picture, select Settings, scroll to Permission Settings, and toggle File Search to Off. This prevents Copilot from indexing and analyzing documents stored on your computer while keeping the assistant available for web-based queries. Finally, go to Settings, then Privacy and Security, and review every toggle in that section. Disable diagnostic data collection, activity history, and any telemetry options you don't explicitly need. These settings won't stop Copilot entirely, but they reduce the amount of background data Windows sends to Microsoft's servers. None of these steps should be necessary. An operating system should respect your privacy by default, not require registry edits and third-party scripts to keep AI from analyzing your personal files. But this is where we are. Your operating system used to be a tool that worked for you. It stored your files, ran your programs, and stayed out of the way. Now it's a data collection platform with an embedded AI assistant that treats every document you save as a potential query for analysis. Microsoft didn't ask if you wanted Copilot in File Explorer. They're installing it anyway and hoping you won't notice until it's too late to object. The technical name for the hidden button discovered in Build 26220 is App Assistant Launch. That's corporate language for something much simpler. They're launching an assistant whether you asked for one or not. If you care about controlling your data, take one action today. Go into your Windows 11 settings and disable Copilot completely using the registry method I outlined. It takes 5 minutes and gives you back control over which files get analyzed and indexed. If enough people push back, Microsoft will have to reconsider making this the default. The next investigation is already underway. I'm looking at how AI features in popular apps are collecting data without clear disclosure and what that means for users who assume their work stays private. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Your files belong to you. Make sure they stay that way.